Back in the saddle now after a nice little break. I had a nice trip to Hawaii, sort of RV.
Yep, a little RV excursion across the Midwest.
Yeah,
Grand Canyon, Joshua Tree, and then back up.
I did one of those. Really helps you appreciate your house when you get back.
I love it.
Oh,
We finally
nice
got
bed.
Yeah, we finally got the whole camping and sleeping and dog situation sorted out by the last night, though. So
Yeah.
could use another week or so.
So thanks for joining us. This is a question and answer, as always. We did not have one last week, so apologize for missing out. But hopefully you guys were able to, spend an hour on TikTok or something to, occupy your time in our absence. But we are back. So this is a great time that we answer any questions you have. Certainly anything 034 related. General automotive questions, performance questions. Really like to get into the nitty gritty of how and why things work. And as always, we have like a no BS policy here, so we like to tell it like it is. I did want to mention we're having, I would say, our best Black Friday, Cyber Monday sale ever. We're offering overall the best prices that we've ever offered. And this is by far the biggest sales we've ever had, by far.
Turnout, sales.
Yeah, we're currently
activity
over double our sales last year, and we're seeing orders and numbers from you guys that we've never seen before. So I want to really thank everyone who's placed an order or who's thinking about placing an order or will place an order. Our sale's not over. It goes for about the rest of this week. We don't really like to play games with our sale. So once we announce it, there's no changing the prices mid-sale. So if you already bought something, you're getting the best deal. We're not going to have like Cyber Monday special prices.
Yeah, and
whatever like that.
Again, don't try and sit and wait for stuff to come into stock during this time. Like if you want it, get your order in as soon as you can, and it'll get you further into the queue.
Some stuff on the website will run out of stock, even though we still have it here. We just have to build more or assemble more. Other things may be out of stock for a few weeks, but they're on the way and they'll be replenished. So if you do place an order for an out of stock item, like our new B8 X34 intake, which is selling like crazy, get your order in sooner than later, because that will put you sooner in line, and we ship first come first serve on orders like that. So and we will definitely ship your order. I think it's retails like $258, for arguably one of the best intakes on the market. I know it flows a ton of power. The tested power gains are really big, and I think arguably it's as high quality as anything on the market, all for $258. So great time to pick one up. We definitely have sold more than we had. We sold way more than we thought we would, but we can make millions. So get your order in. Don't hesitate. The sooner you do it, the better. So, and then we don't offer these kind of sales very often. So again, thank you everyone. We're working hard, shipping orders. And again, this is record level business for us. We're really thrilled with the response, so we really appreciate it. All right, let's get into some of the questions. Someone is asking, forged wheel versus flow formed for street and occasional track use? ? Yes. Well, we have our line of ZTS forged wheels. I'll pull it up in a minute. We can take a look at it. But basically, the advantage of a forged wheel is it's going to be the strongest, lightest wheel possible. There are carbon fiber wheels and some other ridiculous things out there that, frankly, we won't get into, because it's really kind of unattainable pricing and technology for most people. But as far as like practical, real world wheels, a forged wheel is the most dense. So I don't know if you guys know, but a forged wheel like our ZTF wheels starts out as a slug of solid billet aluminum. in a varying size. And there is like a hydraulic type press, and these presses are like 2 to 3 stories tall. They're like buildings, and they exert. I don't even know what
many tons. There's actually a video I think on our website.
Hundreds of thousands of psi.
Discussing the process.
It's on our website. If you go to the ZF page, it shows the process. Basically, this solid billet slug is squeezed and pressed, and it gets heated up a little bit. But just from the sheer force, it's squeezed like clay or Play-Doh into the shape of the wheel. And what that means is you have an extremely dense aluminum material with a grain structure almost like wood, where the grain structure is continuous in the direction of strength. So the issue with cast is it's not a very dense material, and the grain structure is not conducive to high strength. So what the concept of flow form is it's a cast wheel with light pressure placed in the molding process, in the casting process, which makes the casting a little bit more dense and can eliminate like air bubbles and things like that, or voids inside the casting. But generally, what we find is we've sold many different flow form wheels over the years. They're good. They're definitely better than cast. They're going to be slightly lighter and stronger than a cast wheel. But they do bend, and they do have issues, and we had lots of times where we were either at the track or on the street, and we bent one of those flow form wheels, and this is from a really well-known brand that everyone knows about.
Yeah, and due to that, typically the flow form designs are going to be a little heavier than forged stuff, just because to make them strong, this equal strength, you've got to add a little more material to them.
They are definitely heavier, and it's not an inconsequential amount. So when we started testing our ZF wheels, which is a fully forged wheel, 3-4 years ago, we had that set of wheels, and we tried to bend them. We tried
there's
so hard to destroy them.
Some video and photo evidence.
There's a really good photo of our TTRS kind of sideways in the air at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, and Gary Sheehan, our COO, he just bounced the car off a curb right at the limit, and that would have for sure bent just about any flow form wheel. I've driven those wheels tens of thousands of miles on the street. I've hit potholes, and I'm not saying they're indestructible. Like if you hit a curb going 50 miles an hour, you're going to destroy any wheel
and suspension and many
and
other
the rest
things
of the car
attached
with
to it. Yeah,
but if you want the strongest, lightest, best performing wheel possible, forged is the way to go, and that's why we offer the forged wheels. They're definitely more expensive, a lot more expensive, about double, but that's why we came out with the forged wheel initially, as opposed to doing a cheaper flow form wheel. That's because we're just aspiring to offer the best products on the market, the best products for customers. And so that's the advantage of forged. Can you get away with a flow form wheel? Absolutely. Do you need to be a little bit more careful? Yes. Do companies stand behind their flow form wheels if they bend or crack? Usually not.
It really depends on situations.
In our experience with the one company we dealt with, every time we brought it to them, they would blame us that we had done something, even though no wheel should just crack for no reason. So, and then the flow form wheels bend a lot easier too. So you hit something kind of hard, all of a sudden,
And again, this is all relative to like a cast. It's much stronger than a cast, not as strong as a forged.
But the thing that a lot of cast wheels do, like from the factory, is just make them massive
and they don't
heavy
necessarily bend as much. They'll crack a lot more.
But if you have a 30-pound factory wheel, compared to a 22-pound flow form wheel, the 30-pound cast wheel is going to be stronger. It just has a lot more material in it, but. Then you have the perform. We always talk about these compromises. So you have the compromise of strength and performance. So, anyways, let's see. Yes. So someone's asking about B8X34 back orders. So, again, as I just said, we've sold way more than we ever anticipated, and We are definitely out of stock right now, so we're encouraging people to, and I believe there's a note on the product that says to get your order in, to get in line. We have more shipments showing up in December and January and February, so we will be shipping these intakes over the next month or two as our inventory hits. I know one thing, we ran out of filters, and so we have a big filter shipment coming in like the first or second week of December.
Yep.
So that's the next holdup. When those filters ship, a bunch of intakes will ship. So again, for $258, it's worth the wait, in my opinion. That's why we're continuing to offer them for sale. We have sold hundreds. Like, we never anticipated this. I just keep saying, like, how many B8s still need
intakes, right?
I guess hopefully a lot of you guys are replacing your questionable quality intakes with ours. So anyways, that's hang in there. But this is a great time to buy. You're saving. We're offering them for 20% off. Yeah, so that's why they're only $258. Guys, sorry to ask again, but any on a fuel pump solution for the 2.5? From Awesome. Yes, we are working on it. Engineering, before I left for vacation, had our TTRS in the air, and we're just finalizing some of the lines and things like that.
We're getting some manufactured hard lines, validated and tested right now. But yeah, it's still in the works, and it's one of those things. It's coming. It'll be done as soon as it's done.
We don't have a release date, but we're working on all the individual parts so that we can release it as soon as we can. So, I'm hoping definitely Q1 of next year, which is coming right up. Maybe in the next 3 months or so, we should be able to release something out there. When is the release of the B9 S4 P34? Will it be open or closed? So our B9 intake is sort of like an open-closed hybrid.
Yeah,
it's a closed air box that's very open.
It's a very shrouded duct. You could it's a constrained duct.
Yeah, it's not the filter is not shrouded, but we have enough around the filter to make it more like a box.
Yep.
But I would say it's the best of both worlds. It offers the noise of an open intake.
Yeah, basically the entire portion of the intake away from the motor and the heat is carved out.
That whole area behind where the fender is, a lot of cool air flows back there, so we left that open. As far as when, it shouldn't be too far off. We just had to do a different silicone hose for that, and we did it because it will be a much cheaper price point, and we found that a number of B9S4 owners were weren't necessarily looking for a more expensive carbon intake. So we don't have a release date, but it's definitely coming. Can I have another car connected via jumper cables while I flash? As opposed to having a battery charger hooked up. I don't see why not.
In theory, yeah. I mean, it's most modern cars and stuff. If you're doing that, you can assume that it's a fairly clean power coming from the other vehicle. You've got some really weird old car you're jumping it with that has some pretty sketchy alternator noise, then not the best thing in the world. Same goes for chargers too, though. So you should be fine doing it that way. I mean, as long as you're keeping your voltage up. Usually the only concern.
Yeah, you open yourself up to some more variables. So if you can avoid it, do it, because typically a battery charger has a filtered power supply, and you're getting a much more clean power when you're pulling power from another car. Although the battery
will dampen
the battery does offer some filtering.
It's just another variable,
but yeah. But it's like anything. You can better if you don't, but it should work. What can I do to my B8 S4 that is smog compliant power wise? Exactly what are the steps?
That's a different question.
Oh, okay. Well, power wise, I mean, I would say a stage 1.
So smog compliant, that's coming. We don't have it released yet.
Yeah, but I mean, our stage 1 file is.
I take that back. Our stage 1 file has been 49 state certified.
Right.
We have a specific carbon emissions stage 1 file for that will be rolling out to the server soon. Beyond that, there's the intake. Well, sorry. There's the inner heat exchanger.
heat exchanger, which would even help on stage 1.
Yep.
But the main thing is to be smog compliant. You don't want to touch your cats. That's going to
that's a good point. It really depends what area we're talking about here.
I think technically our stage is not smog legal yet, and yes, if you're it depends on what state you're.
We sent it out to get tested at the lab. It passed everything fine. Yeah. It's just a matter of getting the paperwork signed off for it, which we're doing now.
I would say generally speaking, if you're concerned about being smog compliant, which anyone who drives on the street should be, pick up our stage 1. It's not going to increase the emissions output of your car or make your car dirtier from an emission standpoint, even though technically it's not yet smog legal, but it will be. And so in the future, as we update and upload our smog compliant files, you'll have access to those for free and you can flash. So if you want to jump in on the sale right now, now's a good time. And again, you can always flash your car back to stock with our cable. Mm-hmm. So, I'd say it's a very green, non-polluting option.
Yeah.
And then there's the technical compliance, which is more of a legal thing.
Right.
But if you flash with our stage 1, you could go to a smog station and your tailpipe's not going to be any dirtier than it was stock. It'll be the same. Yep. So
and keep in mind when the full stage 1 or the smog compliant files do hit, it's going to be limited to essentially what an OEM has to do for smog compliance. So it's going to be 91 octane limited for the fully compliant files. So that's what everybody has to adhere to. Just because that's what you have to expect on the street.
How reliable is the ZF8 and the C7A6?
Pretty darn solid.
I've never heard of an issue with one. I mean, I'm sure it's happened, but the ZF8 in general is excellent.
It's in some much more
let's put it this way.
Loaded cars.
If the ZF8 was problematic, about half the new cars on the road right now would be having breaking down issues. So I'd say compared to like the older Tiptronics, there's no comparison. I mean, those were slush boxes and shit boxes, literally. So
the ZF8 is in everything. ZF8 is in everything from all the Q5s, which is a heavier platform.
I mean, even it goes back to the B8s.
Yeah, RS7, RS6, some very power heavy cars and vehicle heavy cars with a lot more power behind them. Holding up all that.
Actually, one of my best friends who tragically died of COVID in March, he was an engineer at Fiat Chrysler, and he helped develop a lot of the parts of the ZF8. And so I would talk to him a lot about his knowledge and experience. His area of expertise was bearings and thrust bearings inside the ZF8. So he was like a world-renowned bearing expert, and the name was Jeff. He was a genius, and he was one of my best friends. But he would always marvel at how what an engineering marvel that transmission is. He would tell me at Fiat Chrysler they had 21 different transmissions that they had part numbers for 21 different applications, and down the assembly line would come one ZF8 transmission, and they would flash it with 21 different files, and it would go into 21 different applications, from sports cars to sedans to trucks, SUVs, everything in between, just based on the programming. That's what you call like an incredible engineering solution. When you can take one piece of hardware that's so versatile, that's so programmable, that's so configurable, that you can have it work in a truck and a sports car. We like the ZF8. I've never been crazy about automatic transmissions. I have always hated them, and I was like clinically depressed about the B9S Full when I heard. But as soon as I drove it, there were times where I'd forget it wasn't a DSG, and it's definitely not a DSG. But the difference is way smaller than it should be. So
it's not the days of old, by any means, for what an automatic transmission used to be.
So thankfully, I thought maybe Audi had screwed the performance tuning aftermarket, and they haven't, because we can now program that thing to drive however we want, and it's actually a really, really nice piece of hardware. So. What are the plans for features for the ZF8? Will it be similar to the B8.5 S4 ALC?
Possibly. We're still digging into the advanced launch stuff. There are some different limitations we have to deal with a torque converter transmission versus a clutch pack.
We're committed to doing as much as we can, as much as is possible with the ZF8. So definitely stay tuned. We just don't want to come out and make any promises before we know. But yeah, we're going to do everything we can because frankly, that is the transmission now. It's in everything.
Yep. There will be a lot more development on it coming up.
All the new MG1 applications pretty much use it.
Yep.
So.
Yep, and we just picked up another older version of it in our for in-house test vehicle.
Yep.
We picked up an older
A5.
B8 A5.
Yeah. Exactly what are the steps for switching from 91, 93 octane to E85 fuel and vice versa? Should I flash the ECU first, then put the new type fuel in, or put the fuel in first and flash the ECU?
So generally, I would say with such a big change like that on going to E85, I would put the E85 in first and drive for quite a while. It takes actually a pretty substantial amount of driving to get all that fuel pumped through your filters, your lines, your rails. There was actually some talk about this in one of the groups over the weekend. Somebody had an ethanol content analyzer and just let the car sit and idle. It idled for 30 plus minutes before it dropped down to so it's like some people like say, oh, I idled it for 10 minutes and it was fine, I should have pumped all the fuel through.
Wow, yeah.
It uses a very little amount of fuel to sit there and idle, so you've got to put some miles on it or give it a good amount of time to really get all the E85 through. And that's also where having an ethanol content analyzer really comes in, so you know what you're at the moment before you flash.
Yeah. Should you be driving the car gently during that period of time, or can you drive it hard?
I'd consider it a transition period. So just drive it normal, like gentle, normal cruising kind of stuff.
Yeah, I'd stay off of any like hard acceleration.
Because your octane's going to be up. So octane wise, it'll be fine, but your fuel demand and your fuel requirements are drastically different. So if you end up getting into that transition where you've now got E85 there, the short term fuel trims are going to work overtime to try and keep up with it.
For blended files, is there a specific gasoline to use to blend, or do you find a pump that has E40 blend?
I've actually never seen E40 pre-blended. I'm not aware of that.
Is it out there?
Oh yeah. No, you need to mix it. So
no, you got to mix it.
And we discussed this. I think we have it snipped out as a one of our clips. But when blending, I always prefer to do E85 first, so you've got at least the higher octane component of your blend in, and then mixing in the amount of 91 you need to get to your E40 or E30, whatever you're running for your blend.
The good news about blending is it doesn't have to be exactly E40. It can
there's some fudge.
5% either way.
I just prefer to over ethanol content.
Yeah, but too much is bad too, right?
Well, you can run out of fuel system, right?
Yeah,
so there's a window
because you need more E85.
Yep. And then a follow-up question to that: if you're running the E40 file, but you can't find any E85 locally, it's safe to run 93 octane or until you can flash back.
Do not get on it. You can drive gently. You can drive just very very conservatively. There's not going to be any huge detriment. Just don't smash on the gas. It's a dramatic difference in timing between the two, so you got to be careful with it.
Drive like there's a cop behind you.
Yeah. That you're not trying to get away from.
Yeah. Assuming that you're not a criminal.
Right.
If you're a criminal, all bets are off. A lot of great questions. Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Do you need a bigger throttle body with the B8 S4 intake? No.
You don't need one. It's
something that we'll be offering. And so when we offer our super duper throttle body, we will offer a corresponding hose. So anyone that has our current intake, they'll get the hose for the stock intake. And then later on, we will offer a kit with the super duper throttle body hose for our intake. The throttle body, we've discussed this many times. It's not a necessity. It definitely adds some power. It's not that much. It's maybe another 10 or 15 crank at close to red line.
And this is with a stock charger.
With a stock supercharger. Yeah. Once you start porting and stuff like that, then it helps more.
Yeah.
Not all big throttle bodies are created the same. Some of the ones out there with the plates, we have seen almost no gains from. On our dyno, we couldn't get any gains. So ours will have a nice cast housing. We're actually supposed to get the prototype for that soon.
Yep.
So we'll be releasing our super duper throttle body kit early, hopefully Q1. Will all levels of your tuning maps allow a car to pass DEQ smog if it is done by OBD2? Meaning will allow fully readiness of emission systems and not prevent scanning.
No, we don't alter readiness in any way. We don't force any kind of readiness. We don't bypass any of that.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of egregious, and so we don't want to do that and be accused of fudging or enabling that kind of stuff. So if the component's not installed, we just simply say it's not installed.
Yeah, but we will not force a readiness.
But we don't force readiness. I don't know anyone that does anymore. I mean, maybe some of the smaller tuners out there that have nothing to lose. But we have too much to lose from doing something like that. So if you're actually racing,
which is what these files are for,
then the way we do it is the correct way to do it. But yeah, if we don't want to be aiding and abetting to any degree. So if you plan on tracking your B9, S4, S5, what modifications do you recommend? Is transmission cooler needed? So take a look at our catalog. I would say all of our sway bars, inserts, our adjustable arms,
the
springs, they all shine on track. Our new 19-inch ZF wheels will allow you to fit the most tire, and you'll reduce unsprung weight. I would say the one thing that we don't currently sell that the car needs is like a big brake kit.
B9 is less critical.
The B9 S4, if you have good pads, you can get away with a lot. Yeah. So we're going to be releasing our ZTF rotors soon for that application, and paired with so the better cooling of the rotors paired with some good track pads. I think you could, if you're a really badass driver and you're really hauling ass and you're full ABS into every corner, it may, we'll have to test that, but I think upgrading the brakes is the key. Now the stock B9 S4 brakes are like 14 inches, and they have really nice calipers with big pads.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
So I mean, they're already pretty good from stock.
Light years better than the B8 offerings here.
Way better, yeah. But I think there's maybe you guys can link to the conversation we had about driving on track and stuff like that. But the driver mod is a big one, so we won't BS you. You can have all the best parts on your car. It won't make you any faster on the track.
Yep.
So you gotta upgrade yourself, and that takes going to the track, driving, being open to feedback, being open to criticism, being told you have no idea what you're doing, and letting someone who's better than you give you that advice. If you do that and you can kind of deal with the criticism, you can get really fast on track and really improve. So, but yeah, our catalog of B9 parts is made for track driving. And honestly, like we talk about, I don't know if a $3,000 coilover kit's gonna get you any faster lap times than our $350 springs, which are on sale right now. So check out our catalog, shoot us an email, chat us up. Well, we'd love to help. Do you plan on releasing OEM Plus parts for electric cars when petrol cars become less common in the coming decade? Absolutely.
Yep.
So
we're already working on some.
We have an e-golf program internally that we're working on. We've been testing some of our products since it's an MQB chassis. It's been interesting to see how the electric car stresses parts differently than the gas counterparts. Our partners Racing Line have an ID3 in the UK that we're currently doing an engineering analysis on. And it's definitely something we're looking at. I think the biggest thing that we need is for you guys, performance minded drivers to start buying these electric cars and demanding the products.
Yeah, that's been the biggest holdup.
Yeah.
It's just
we're just not seeing the demands.
The customer base on these electric vehicles currently is very.
This question's encouraging.
Yeah,
we rarely get this question.
Yeah. This shows things are the thought process is moving that way to.
Up till now, electrification has mostly been, Priuses and things like that.
Economy based only.
People who are more, they're concerned about the environmental impact. I know if you buy Tesla, the status of having a Tesla is a big motivator for a lot of people. But not as many people, even the companies that tune Teslas, they're just like kind of a lot of BSE mods, like wheels.
Yeah, there's only a couple out there that are really doing
like a $5,000 leather interior.
Yeah, performance oriented.
Yeah, stickers and things like that. So, and of course, the challenge with Tesla is you really can't mess with the drivetrain calibration.
Right, and that's going to be more of, with every vehicle coming out in the future, it's going to be
as things have
it's,
updates by air.
Everything's connected. Over the air updates are going to be a thing. So yeah, there's considerations both for gas and electric.
Did you guys do anything with AC compressor operation at wide open throttle condition?
Depends on what car you're talking about, but generally yes. Typically we will, under a full wide open throttle condition, disable the AC compressor, as most OEMs do on a number of cars. But yeah, that's one of the things we will, if we have control over it, if it's something we feel is beneficial, then yeah. Because the amount of time you're at wide open throttle, you're either racing, down a drag strip or on track, or it's such a short burst, you're not really going to notice the compressor disconnect on the street.
Gen 3 MQB, at which ethanol blend content will I start needing to upgrade the fueling hardware? Can I run E30 on stock hardware? I mean, we don't currently offer a product for this.
We don't have that. It really, and it really depends on which turbo we're talking about here. Is this an IS38? Is it an IS20?
I think we would hesitate from saying anything specific.
Yeah, so I don't have any.
It would just be a
guess. Hard numbers to give you there.
When we come out with some blended E85 tunes for the MQB, we will definitely advise customers on anything like that. Anything new and exciting coming up for the RS3? Well, yes, we have just released. Oh God, can I have a handball?
I get some more cord.
Oh, by the way, this is an RS3 airbox top, carbon fiber. This is our 19-inch ZF wheel. Is this the? This is 19 by 9.3 specifically for the RS3. It fits the TTRS as well.
Doesn't come with the wheel weights, but it shows that we've been testing it.
Yeah, no, this is a used wheel that we tried to destroy, and it's still perfectly round and perfect with everything. So this wheel specifically, we have designed to allow the best fit with the most tire. So if you asked yourself, how can I fit the most tire on my RS3 on a 19-inch or an 18-inch? We have both.
Here a little bit.
This is the wheel we came up with. So instead of doing 8.5 or 9, we stretched it to 9.3, 9.34. We didn't do the 3.4. I wanted to, but 9.30 was the right number. And so yeah, they're about as light as you can get for a wheel. They are very indestructible in normal or high performance use, and they're in stock, ready to ship. So we also released the same wheel with a corresponding offset for the B8 and B9 chassis.
Yep.
Again, the lightest, strongest, biggest fitting wheel on the market. So it'll be interesting to see all the wheel companies knocking off this concept.
Can you name some of the features involved with the wheel, as well as go into why 9.3 is a good idea?
Well, as I just talked about, 9.3 allowed us, 9.5 was too wide. 9-inch was not as much.
There was some room on the table still.
So I've never seen anyone, split. It's always half-inch increments. So we were able to squeeze that extra 0.3 inches, which gives you that much more opportunity for tires.
Yep.
The what do we advertise the weight on this 19-inch wheel? I mean, it's about 20 pounds. So very extremely light for a 19-inch wheel. These are designed to not need hub-centric spacers.
Yep, these are application sized.
The wheel fits an RS3 just like if Audi released it.
Yep.
There's no adapters.
The correct lug bolt, provisions and taper, well, conical.
It's a conical, so you can use your factory wheel bolts, the factory ball seat, wheel nuts. The offset is optimized, and we went back and forth millimeters one side to the other to get the best fit.
And there's a bunch of other technical tweaks. All of our spokes are essentially I-beam cut, so there are undercuts here where it didn't impact the strength profile.
We were able to remove material without reducing strength.
Right, and there's a lot of features like that. Even on the inside of the barrel, there's a slight undercut because we could, and there's extra material on the inside to accommodate.
Knurling on the beads.
Yep, we're knurled beads,
which
bead
helps
faces.
keep the tire from spinning on the rim.
Yep, so a bunch of little tricks all throughout the wheel.
Yeah.
The actual hub mounting surface is undercut where we can, again, just to reduce weight where, again, it's not being used or needed. So a number of features that are implemented on this that aren't necessarily visible from a quick glance.
What kind of brakes can this wheel accept?
Everything that we've... I mean, even our 18-inch...
It's tough to answer ones that fit, but I mean, Mark's running the Brembo caliper upgrade on his RS3. I'm running, this AP piston kit on my AS4.
They have generous brake limits.
They're designed for maximizing strength and clearance more than having like a deep dish look or a inset face.
You can see there's how the barrel comes out here, so that's specifically to give more clearance for the brakes. Some wheels you'll find they'll add like a strip of material down the middle to make it stronger, but that's right where the caliper sits. So this is a performance minded wheel for the aftermarket. We feel like this is kind of an optimized wheel for the performance RS3 driver, whether you're doing track driving or drag racing. High performance street driving, this wheel is going to do everything well. Now, if you want to build a 8-second drag car, that's a whole nother story. But if you want to go to the track and street trim and run 9s, this is a great wheel. It's light. I mean, what's the factory wheel? I mean, it's a lot lighter.
On like a B8S4, I think it's like 35, 40 pounds, something ridiculous on the peelers.
So you guys can look up, rotating mass and how that has a parasitic robbing effect on
the ride quality is
acceleration
substantially better on
you really feel the wheels responding to the road much more quickly, and
as opposed to crashing over bumps and then throwing your suspension in the air when it's.
And the way it's sitting, it just looks massive. Just like looking through one of the spokes.
We could have left it there the whole time.
Yeah. To clarify, our 18-inch wheels are right around 19 pounds. Our 19-inch wheel is right around 20 pounds, which is very, very good for a Ford.
Yeah, I mean, we're right around a pound per inch, so that's pretty much as good as you can get for a wheel. So that's not some exotic carbon fiber Koenigsegg thing, whatever.
Or at a compromise in strength. Or you can get really light wheels that'll shatter if you hit anything with them.
Yeah, we could take another pound off these and have increase. Every bit of material you take off increases the chance of bending or damage. So other than that, for the RS3, we just released our 4-inch intakes.
Yep.
You can buy those in just the airbox top with the tube, and then you can add the airbox bottom and front radiator shroud. You can buy it all at once, or you can do it in steps.
Yep.
I think that's something great. We've been selling a lot of those during the sale, and I see people, they buy the top first and they buy the bottom later.
Yep.
We're working on the fuel pump,
the surge tank fuel pump stuff working in process. Turbo inlets coming out.
Stage 2,
Stage
85.
Stage 2 software.
We'll be releasing that soon.
Across all the octanes. Yeah. Quite a bit still in development on that.
Yeah, and then we already have a full catalog, and I think with our increased tuning and engineering capabilities, I think we can start getting into some really cool turbo options as well.
Yep.
You know, once we feel like we've really maxed out the stock turbo. So yeah, I mean, we're not done with the RS3. There's a lot more to come.
Not at all.
What racing line products do you carry now? We carry about 30 different products. We will have their full line probably in stock early next year. Here's their R600 Intake. They have very beautiful packaging. This is a really cool intake. I mean,
packages.
Between our offerings and the racing line offerings, there's really no need. I mean, we have a full range of products now. But the R600, you know, we've always, even when we were direct competitors, we've always respected this intake. It's a very OEM looking intake. It's actually injection molded by an OEM supplier for a major brand. So it looks just like OEM.
Yep.
And it has great performance. Frankly, it's a bargain for the price for what you get.
Yeah, it's a lot of intake for that.
Yeah. So, and they have different filter options. We carry their turbo muffler deletes, their turbo inlet, various breather, breather cans, some of their DSG oil coolers, their springs, suspension components. So check it out. If you go to our website, look at the top. There's a tab for racing line at the top, or you can just search racing line on the site, and you can see what we have. We have a whole range in stock, and it's all on sale for 10% off right now during the sale. I think that's their standard mat price.
Chassis brace items.
Oh, is it up to 20?
10 to 20.
Oh, okay. All right. So up to 20% off on racing line. Yeah. What 034 product has generated the highest sales in terms of volume? Also, what is Javad's favorite 034 product at this time? Well, those probably my favorite product is the one that sells the most from a business point of view. That's always satisfying.
Volume is actually, I think, the lanyards keep popping.
Yes. Nate at one point wanted to release a 034 lanyard, and I poo-pooed the idea for many years, and then I finally broke down, and then we end up giving that.
Yeah, it's because they're tucked into a lot of orders. Yeah,
but we sell a surprising number, and I've had to eat my words on that one. But I think probably inserts overall.
Yeah,
I mean, as far as
if you want to count like a product,
we sell so many inserts, more than any other products, and and they're a good product. They do what they say.
Yeah, the bang for the buck on those is really hard to beat.
They're reliable. We had an issue early on where the lowers were bending because there was no upper
on the MQB. Yeah,
we solved that. If you ever have an issue with that, anyone, just shoot our customer service an email and we'll take care of you. But we I feel like we did a lot of innovating and we solved a lot of problems with that product.
We're still the only ones that offer the solution for that product. I don't think anybody else has copied us on that yet.
Yeah,
maybe one. Someone's already copied it. All right.
And I'd say as far as a source of pride, I think in general the density line products, that's really I think a product that I brought to the market in like 2005. There was just a lot of poly stuff out there, and at the time I just really thought, what would Audi do if they had high performance mounts for their cars, and so that ultimately that question and thought process ultimately led to the density line products, which are re-engineered factory mounts that are stiffer rubber and re-engineered voids to offer higher performance, but with similar levels of comfort to OEM. And so I think proud of that. I think in general, I'm just really proud of our overall product line.
Yeah.
A lot of the things that we've brought to market, a lot of the solutions that we've created over the years that have been copied. I mean, when APR is knocking off your products, you've done something right. So, and you go on eBay, and now there's people counterfeiting.
Yeah, or AliExpress is a good indicator when you've got a good line on a product.
So yeah, I think that I'm really proud of our calibrations. Nate and I have worked really hard to bring those. I mean, at one point, Nate and I were just two guys, and we were like, we should jump into the calibration tuning market. Like we both know how to tune, and Nate's an incredible, hacker and engineer, and it's kind of daunting because you're just sitting there and you're essentially a nobody, and you're like, how do we get into this thing? Like that was like 10, 12 years ago. And so we've worked together for like a decade just to do one small part of this business now. Together, Nate and I have been working together for over 15 years, and been planning, years in advance and saying, we want to do this thing, but we know it might be 5 or 10 years before we're successful.
The resources and the market, knowledge and share, and it takes a long time to build up that kind of a platform and program.
It sucks getting older and aging, but I don't think people talk about this enough. I think you go on Instagram and people look like they're overnight successes, and that's just not how it works. I mean, I get that there's a few people out there that were homeless, and then now 3 years later they own Lamborghinis or whatever. That's just not realistic. So, if you want to do something well, and if you want to be successful,
and I guarantee you're not seeing the full story on those.
Who knows what the whole story is, but I've found, like, to your point, that there's always more to the story. But from my point of view, I'm 46, and I've worked my ass off my whole life. I was hustling before hustling was a thing. When I was 12, I would buy fireworks, and I would go around the neighborhood after everyone had fired off their fireworks, and I would sell the fireworks that I bought for twice as much as I bought them for. And people couldn't buy them fast enough. So I've been hustling my whole life. But it takes time. If you want to be successful, it takes time. And so if right now you're not asking yourself, where will I be in 5 or 10 years from now? And you're not doing the things now to be successful 5 or 10 years from now, then you're probably not ever going to grow from the position you're in now. I mean, you could get lucky, or things happen. But
and for every, like, 2 steps forward, there's almost always a step back.
Oh, it's so hard.
It's not a simple ladder or steps, stair step.
And everyone comes out of the woodwork to stop you or question you or criticize you. And so many things that we've done. I mean, before I started 034 Motorsport, people were like, you can't do that. All the things that I started 034 Motorsport with that have made us successful, so many people said, that won't work. You can't do that. So even now, when someone's like, oh, we can't do that, that won't work, I'm just like, oh yeah, let's see about that. So anyways, a little tangent, but thanks for the question. Definitely everything that we do here, all the products we release, there's a lot of pride, and us is personally invested in everything we do. We're not just like sourcing and slapping labels on stuff. So everything is from a concerted effort to build success for the future. We're not trying to be successful today or this week or this month or this year. We're trying to build something for the long run. And I think, and at some point in the future, I want to look back and say that Javad, me, and us as a team and 034 Motorsport, we did something that impacted this industry and changed it for the better. And that's ultimately, I think, for me, my ultimate goal, other than to make a couple bucks, is to kind of leave this industry better than when I came to it. All right. I'm sure there was a lot of discussion before it was released, but the ALC seems to be used as more of a showboat option, 2-step, rather than used at a drag strip for launch. Any precautions with that? Well, I'll let Nate talk, but before he does, I'll just say that the launch that we had before the 2-step was a great launch that really didn't need to be better. A lot of people on the market did request the 2-step, and certainly we've seen a tremendous positive response to it. But our message has never been the 2-steps faster, or that you need it to go faster.
Yeah, it was a lot more the added features we put in with it. So the adjustable launch points, the way the transmission integrates with it all. That's really where the big power or the big performance gains and adjustability come from.
I mean, we had a meeting in this room one day, and the feedback from marketing was that everybody wants two-step, and I was like, we're not just going to do two-step to do two-step. So what else can we do? And Nate started saying, well, I could add this, we could do this, and it was like, yeah, let's do that. So our two-step isn't just a simple two-step. It added all this other innovative kind of industry-first functionality. And so that's ultimately what you get. We just didn't want to release a showboat thing. Although, I mean, I think everyone admits the two-step's badass.
Side effect, you can
awesome.
showboat your car, but it's not.
It's great for showboating.
That's not why it was developed.
But if you want to go fast, I think we found that people are going very fast with either the two-step or a more traditional, launch. So,
just as an added note, ALC can still function without the ignition cut functionality. So you get all of the launch control features without the flames themselves. And we've seen plenty of customers using the flames at the drag strip as well, and are reporting great drag times.
So we have both options. One's a much more factory style launch. One's a much more raunchier.
Why do I always never interesting receive free stickers when I order from your website? I don't know. That's weird because as a matter of course, we throw in lots of free stickers.
So those why do we not always receive is what it actually read.
Sometimes.
So
it could be a sticker
run out or something. But please shoot us an email, contact@034 Motorsport, request some free stickers. We'll send them to you. We want you to have our stickers.
Someone asks, how about come out with a 034 standalone specifically for Audi?
Yeah, we did that. We did that.
We're past that.
We're coming full circle here.
Yes, that's literally how the company started. You're about 10 years too late, bro.
We've been there.
The Sachs clutch kit that you sell for the BS4, do you recommend replacing the flywheel as well? Car has roughly 100,000 miles. I mean, we kind of talked about this in the last show. For the BA, we recommend the factory flywheel. I would say generally a dual mass flywheel like what you have on your car, it can't hurt to replace it at 100,000 miles. It's a good idea. They definitely wear out and get softer and flimsier. So there's sort of a dampening system with springs and inside the flywheel that allows the mass of the flywheel to bounce back and forth, to absorb any of the chattering or the power pulses from the engine through the gear train. It absorbs that so you don't feel the chatter. I would recommend replacing it with a factory flywheel. There are lots of aftermarket options out there. We don't currently use them or recommend any of them. I'm not saying they're bad. We just haven't found enough of a reason to change the factory flywheel. And the main reason of that is because once you go to aftermarket, chattering becomes an issue. And over the years, we just have talked to so many people about clutch chatter that we're over that. So we just recommend the stock flywheel. But the Sachs clutch kit is very good. It's basically an OEM clutch that's been upgraded. So as far as like a lot of the issues you have with aftermarket clutches, that's not an issue with the Sachs. I have your Stage 2 Plus tune. Is it okay to run the file on test pipes all the time? I have test pipes and cats downstream after the test pipes.
The test pipe file doesn't do anything different than the non-test pipe file for the most part. I mean, it's not going to be any less safe. So
it's just when you run
it's
test pipes for racing,
you're not going to
it's more flow.
You're going to get a little more flow through the motor, but it's not going to change depending on either file. You're going to have your check engine lights and things if you don't run the test pipe file because you don't have your factory catalysts in there.
The tune doesn't care what cat you're running. But if you run test pipes, you're going to make more power just because you've removed a restriction. Have Cerakoted supercharger provide any benefits IATs? I don't think we've done any testing on that. I mean, I would be skeptical. I doubt it, but I guess the proof would be in the numbers.
Yeah, I'd need to see the data. That's a tough one to also isolate because you'd probably be talking like a degree or two here and there. And
most of the heat from the supercharger is coming from
directly
the supercharger itself,
the air itself,
and from the heat in the motor that it's bolted to. So
Yeah, and the heat soak on those isn't really the surrounding material; it's the intercooler bricks themselves. So
yeah,
the amount of parasitic heat or additional heat gained from the metal of the intake manifold and charger is going to be pretty minimal.
I think it's probably it probably looks cool. I'd seriously doubt it would make any difference. But
if there's data out there otherwise, we're open to it. But
I mean, if there was a turbocharger sitting above the supercharger, yeah, if you had an external
if you've got some big reflective heat source,
external heat source that was putting heat into the supercharger, but the supercharger is the thing that makes the heat. So actually insulating it may actually keep more heat inside it. I don't know. Whenever I've never even heard of anyone doing that, but whenever someone asks me about mods like that, or I think about mods like that, you have to. There's some basic thinking you can do to see where's the heat coming from, what happens if you insulate it. Is that even what you want to do? I remember there was a big debate with 2.7T aluminum intercooler pipes. Everyone thought that the aluminum would shed the heat from the intake charge, but actually the heat outside the tubes was hotter than the air inside the tube.
Right.
So the aluminum is just going to help conduct the heat into the charge, not make it better. So in that case, you want them to be made out of stainless steel, which is a much better insulator than aluminum. And that's why our 2.7T bipipes to this day are still made out of stainless steel. So I have a Audi A6 C5. Run out of time. Does this have the same problem with the subframe cracking as the B5 chassis when using a stiffer sway bar? I haven't heard of it on the A6 as much. It's a huge problem on the B5.
Yeah. The B5s were like designed.
The first time I saw that was like in the year 2000.
Yeah, the B5 was like designed to fall off, even with the factory like 10mm bar.
I'm thinking since this is the first time I've ever thought about it, no one's ever asked us
I don't think it's too
about
much of a concern.
I don't think it's a concern. So, the problem with the B5 is the sway bar kind of hangs down on these thin sheet metal brackets, and there's no support for it. So, my guess is
there's two like 3/8 or 1/2 inch welds holding this unsupported sheet metal bracket down.
The C5 has a completely different rear subframe, so I'm guessing that it's probably not an issue. Do you guys plan on using different pay vendors such as yes, we do offer a firm, and we don't? Well, we do have Bolt, but a firm still works. It's just really? Oh, in the last month it stopped? Okay. Well, it was working. You just had to like, it was a little harder to find, and it wouldn't be included in the quotes. But I've seen some Affirm charges come through recently, but I don't know. But anyways, we're updating our website, and Affirm will be available for sure at that point. But currently we have PayPal Pay, and also we have Bolt and anything associated with the PayPal payment system. So
Amazon Pay, PayPal Credit.
But we'll offer more stuff if you guys want. I'm not familiar with a couple of those, but anyways.
That's one of the things. If we hear enough demand for it, we can look into it. But yeah, I haven't seen any of the requests.
There's so much stuff out there. Yeah, but okay, cool. Well, I think we're out of time.
Oh, we are. Yeah.
Thanks for joining us again. Oh, what was this? 31. 31.
We skipped a week too, so it's 32-ish. But
no, it's the 31st one. So thanks for joining us. We appreciate it as always, and we will see you guys next week.
Yep.
All right. Cheers.